Ade Adefeko is an ex-officio of NACCIMA and former Honorary Consul of Botswana in Lagos. He joins me now to discuss the Nigeria-Turkey bilateral agreements. Thank you very much for obliging us today. $5 billion trade target. Talk to us about the potential benefits of this agreement.
Well, first and foremost, thank you very much for having me, and good evening, viewers. To set context, Turkey is, or Nigeria is Turkey's largest trading partner in Africa. That's quite significant. Again, historical reference, a lot of you might not remember that Turkey was part of what you call the Ottoman Empire way back. So historically, speaking to the agreements that were reached, there was a Defense Cooperation Act which was signed, and of course, Nigeria is now a strategic partner of Turkey. Turkey faced and still faces a lot of challenges on the terrorist front. In the last 3, 4, 5, 6 years, there have been a spate of terrorist attacks. But again, the Turkish people have been able to defend themselves against the onslaught, and Nigeria is taking a cue by trying to partner and leverage on Turkey's very strong capabilities in that regard. On the economic side, there's trying to establish what you call the Economic and Trade Joint Committee, which is important because investments are important for the two countries. The two countries are what you might call middle concept powers. But again, the Turkish are probably a notch ahead in the area of many things. There are a lot of things in the area of halal quality assurance, cooperation in the field of higher education. There are Turkish schools in Nigeria, there are Turkish hospitals here, and in the field of media and communication, where you play as well, is important. So they have the TV, which they project outside Turkey to the outside world. So they control their own narrative, and I think it's something Nigeria can learn from by controlling its own narrative as well from its own lens and prism. And it's something that I think we should work with. And again, there's something called the diaspora policy. Not quite sure what that's about. But again, Nigerian diaspora is a diaspora that is very, 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 very large across the world.
Okay.
If you love education, yes.
Yeah, this is not the first time that Nigeria is signing bilateral agreements. Are you concerned about how this will come to fruition in terms of tangible, verifiable opportunities that will come out of these agreements, or is just another exercise that goes with diplomatic meetings?
I do not think so. I think that's the reason why you have what you call the Economic and Trade Joint Committee. Once you have that kind of committee, it's now a committee that is a standing committee, and it's a committee that will look through all these agreements that have been signed. What is important is that what doesn't get measured doesn't get done. Half of the time in the country will never really follow through. What we need now is a continuum from what President Tinubu has done in Turkey. And Turkey, like I said, is a middle income country, and is a country that is a country that is straddled between Europe and Asia. So it's a country where you have, technically speaking, sometimes the best of two worlds. So I think and I believe, quite frankly, that if we have that Economic and Trade Joint Committee set up, or have a Nigeria Turkey Joint Commission, like you have with other countries, I think we should be able to follow through. But the questions should be asked: what areas comparative advantage does Nigeria have? What area of comparative advantage does Turkey have? So those are the things we should look at. And in the area of sports as well, a lot of our players have played in Turkey. We can look at the likes of JJ Okocha. We can look at the likes of Uche Ikechukwu. We can go on and on.
Okay.
So for us, we have a sporting rapport or relationship, which is very, particularly football. So, and again, in the area of aviation, Turkish Airlines comes into Nigeria. I'm not sure how many frequencies they have. So there's a lot between us and Turkey, and I think it's something that we should just build upon, and we should follow through.
Yeah, a lot of agreements were signed. Which of them would you say stands out the best for you in terms of opportunities that you would see for Nigerian businesses in the Turkish market?
For me, I think it's that the Economic and Trade Joint Committee. There's a Nigerian Turkish Business Council, which is led by a good friend of mine and former president of NACCIMA, which is Dele. So, and they have been doing a lot on at the background on trying to improve Nigeria-Turkish relations. And I think this visit by the president of Nigeria will further cement that. And what the government must do is to make sure that they bring the private sector into the mix. What usually happens is that these visits happen and there's no follow through. There's no one trying to see how we can dot cross the T's and dot the I's. So for me, that Economic and Trade Joint Committee is what is very important. The Turkish lira is quite strong. We're not doing badly in terms of exports to them, but we import more from Turkey. So furniture, we import clothes, we import sometimes. I mean, even on the defense side, we could explore bringing in some of their jets that they use for to combat terrorist attacks. So for me, I think again, what is important, like I said, is that Turkey is straddled between Asia and Europe. And I think the journey between Lagos and Ankara or Lagos and Istanbul is not more than 6 hours. So I think that is equally very good. So it's a good trade route for us as well.
I guess we'll wait to see all the beauties from these agreements. Thank you so much for speaking with us.